I'm fired, aren't I?
Oh, you think?
Welcome into Barely Functional Football Team, everyone. I am Mark, joined as always by Chris. We are here to talk about the dysfunction in Phoenix, or whatever it is. The Cardinals actually play football. I don't know. The Bears went out there and gave you a big old fat Eberflus for all of us who are sick of the coach. Chris, I mean, how are you? Do we care how you are? How are the Bears?
Here's the full disclosure. I only saw the second half because I had a rehearsal with the Wichita Youth Symphony.
You actually missed the better part then.
Oh my gosh.
If such a game can...
Wow. That's a thing. Wow. So yeah, when I turned it on just after halftime and saw, oh boy, this that looked like a team that quit, Mark. Is that about is that what you're thinking? Is that your take?
Yeah, so I mean, like, as you're watching it, you're just like, depending on your perspective, you're either losing your mind, raging out at how bad they look, mad that they have such an incompetent organization over the years, or just wallowing in defeat quietly, wondering why you do this to yourself, or going back and forth. I mean, these are all on the table. And I my full disclosure is I didn't want to do this, right? Like, this is going to be a short episode because it's like I don't really want to give this more time than I already did. But Cousin Nick, he asks me immediately after the game, the bastard.
Ooh.
And in honor of the birth of his second child,
woohoo!
Just the other day, I was like, fine, I'll give you a post-game pod that I don't want to do. Because you know why I don't want to do this?
Oh, yeah, I know why.
Well, there's various reasons. Let me give you the more specific one. Because I know that they're just not going to do anything. I'm trying to jinx it into existence or something. But the Bears don't care, guys. Like, they have 40 years of explaining to us via example that they don't care like we care. And they will never care like we care. The owners is who I'm referring to here. They don't care. They're dumb. They spend, but they don't really care like we care. I'm not saying that they're like the Commanders' old owner, okay? I'm not saying they're a disgrace that way. But they have had 3 chances to do what everybody wanted, and it was at least plain as day after Mitch. So at least 2 really clear examples of pair the QB with a new coach. And they actively chose the lame duck every time. And we all knew the coach was a lame duck every time. And they did it anyway. I don't think it's cheap. I think it's because they just don't have it in them to care enough to aggressively get rid of people that they happen to like on some level. They don't care enough about winning. They're happy when Flus is the nice leader of the nice little cute little locker room team. Which maybe gets them fired at the end of the year because they'll care at the embarrassment at that point. But there's only a few things that they ever really show us that they care about when it comes time to try to figure out if they're going to keep the coach. And honestly, winning isn't the one. It's narratives, it's national attention, it's players quitting, which this game would definitely move the needle pretty far. But they've never done it in season, and I'll believe it when I see it. I would be the best thing I could possibly get tomorrow is that he's just gone just so he's gone. And when I sang his praises a few weeks ago, right, that's just trying to find something.
It's all your fault.
We talked all year last year, about how he shouldn't be back. Then they bring him back like, okay, we got to be fans and talk ourselves into it. Ooh, he's got a beard. Maybe he will be a better leader because he's trying to change all these things. And to his credit, most coaches won't change a thing. He was trying. It doesn't matter though. It's Homer Simpson, right? Trying is the first step to fail. No, I'm kidding. I wish they'd try harder sometimes. I
This is
just
why I'm
don't
glad
think
we're
they
doing
have it in
this.
them because they're gonna they like the person, and they're just gonna be like, well, they'll bounce back, and they're gonna get the dead cat bounce of the Patriots at home next week,
Maybe,
maybe, and then they're gonna
maybe.
get their brains beat out the rest of the schedule, and that'll get him fired hopefully at the end of the year. But it's not gonna be tomorrow. I'd be stunned if it's tomorrow. That'll be the greatest I was wrong pod we've ever had.
Well, you
He
will.
lost the locker room though. That's one of the things
Yes,
that does move the
yes.
needle, which is what we were talking about Friday. Like that's really clear. So we nailed that one.
And I want to ask you something about firing Flus. Shouldn't Ryan Poles at least consider it so he's not linking himself to Flus with this, which with is what's coming? You know what I mean? Like he's smarter than that, right?
Well, we think.
We
I,
think,
that's been
yeah.
my problem here lately as I do my merry-go-round of analysis, thinking of every little thought. I'm like a puppy, right? I just chase the stray thought to its logical conclusion, and then, oh, here
Hmm.
comes another stray thought. Hey, is Poles all that good, or is that just because he ripped off the Panthers? Other than that, is
Hmm.
he that good? Because he can't really do that again, can he? So do I want to keep him moving forward? I think I do, but no, not if he keeps Flus, for sure, no. Well, he's already kept him once, and he allegedly hired him, though I don't really think that was his hire.
I don't.
So I kind of don't hold. That's kind of like not holding Flus's record against him the first year. But wake me up when we win a Sunday road game.
Yeah, we're 3 years in. No Sunday road games. One.
They've only won one Monday and two Thursday games on the road,
In
and Thursday games don't count as normal.
yeah.
I mean, he's a dreadfully bad in-game coach, and all the stuff I like about him are still true. I like how he trusts young players. We've had coaches absolutely refuse to play those guys. It
Hmm.
drove me nuts. But that's a low bar. You can clear that easily.
Hmm.
Until today, you thought the team usually came out and played hard for him. They absolutely did not play hard for him today. And they're dropping like flies now. So, I mean, this is going to get, as my former high school student said after he did his, did I tell you this ever? Oh, you're
No.
going to love this. So he did his History Day poster board on Vlad the Impaler,
Oh,
aka the inspiration for Dracula.
yes.
And I said, what'd you learn from this? He said, it'll get worse before it gets worse.
Oh, gee.
That's the era.
Perfect.
That's the second half of the season, guys. Did you see the Lions versus the Packers?
The
Don't let the
Lions.
score fool you. That game was not competitive. They beat the tar out of them.
Is the term boat race applicable to
Oh yeah.
what the Lions did? Boy, they
What they will
are.
do to the Bears, and Jared
Bring
Goff's
it.
the MVP. It's either him or Lamar. But that division's still really good. The Bears are still not, and the O line is in shambles. They weren't very good to begin with. D line might have just lost Billings for a long time with the chest injury. That's usually really bad because you either don't hurt it bad enough to come out, or it's IR torn pec.
Yeah.
Montez Sweat missed this game. They definitely missed him. And they
Sure.
still haven't gotten Gordon or Brisker. Brisker being in scary concussion territory
Yeah,
back.
this is a long
So this
time.
isn't gonna. They might beat the Patriots. That's the only win on the schedule now. They just got destroyed by the second easiest game left on the schedule on paper. And I
Yeah.
know that can change when the bullets start flying. Like, oh, the Rams, didn't have Nakua and Cooper Kupp, and so the Bears won that game on some level. You can question if those guys are healthy, and there'll be a game where maybe Geno Smith is out when we play Seattle or something silly happens. But by and large, they are going to be in big trouble down the stretch. And I don't know that it's going to matter whether they fire him or not. But if they want any chance at all, they can't keep him after these two games, combined with what he gave you last year close and late.
Hmm.
That's the problem. Forget the rest of it. Take the emotion out. And I know everybody's like, wow, that was a brutally bad game to watch. Yeah, and they're not going to make a decision on that emotion, I don't think. But if you just want to look at the reasons I kept Flus, if you're Ryan Poles and whoever else was in that room, you just lost what had to be 1A or 1B as a reason. They play hard for him. Because it was either that was the first reason or second reason, with the other one being he calls a good defense most games. And you just lost one of them. So, I
Yeah.
mean, why would you keep him? You're
Hmm.
going to fire him in January because you like that you have never fired a coach mid-season. That becomes one of those things that you're proud of that actually starts to work against you.
Yeah, what does keeping Flus do for you? If you're Ryan Poles and you're staying, what does keeping Flus do for you? I just can't admit that can't believe that he really wants to hitch his wagon to Flus.
The problem with Poles is we don't know if he has blinders. We
Yeah.
still have to question that. Like, why did they just keep Velus Jones all this time just to cut him? Did he really have a draft pick offered, or was that just Hard Knocks weirdness? I don't honestly
Mm,
know. This is really the point, though. The sooner I think you realize that Matt Eberflus isn't the answer, the better.
yes.
But you
100%
could say,
agree.
well, we don't want to jerk Caleb around and have an interim and then a new coach. That might be worth thinking about. But honestly, and I know people are like, oh, you don't want to give the player that much power. I think I do.
I do.
I think I'd ask Caleb, do you think it would be better to have your QB coach calling the plays for you for the rest of this year, and then we'll see what the offseason brings? Because it's clear this isn't working, and we've got to talk about Waldron lost in the
Yes.
flu stuff.
Yes.
I
Yes.
can't believe how bad he is.
Can I
This
ask?
he had Seattle in the top 12 every year with Geno Smith,
Right.
who was a retread quarterback at the time that they signed him.
So what happened? Why does he come here and be an idiot?
I don't know. It's not just the line. I mean, obviously the line's the weak link on the field.
It's a real problem. It is. It
Yeah, of
is.
course they're terrible at picking up a blitz. That's also coaching to some level, or to some degree, on some level. Let's mix them together to some level. Okay. Why are these receivers not open more?
I don't know. And you can see it on when they show replays from behind Caleb looking out. You can see that they are running right into the coverages. It looks like they're running right into the
Like
zones.
everyone knows what they're doing or
Yes.
something.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have wife sighting as she backs away
Hi,
awkwardly.
Jenna.
Put down the wife and please leave the room. Nobody say anything. No. The the offense looks very broken in what, four of the games?
Yeah.
They didn't look they looked broken the first 2 weeks. Not really against the Colts. I mean, that was kind of just a weird game, but I wouldn't say the offense was like broken. They looked broken the last two. So yeah, I'm gonna say half with the Colts, maybe even a fifth game. 4.5 games. They start
Of
slow usually.
yeah.
Caleb is really inaccurate, and I'm starting to be worried. But I hope it's just I don't know what to do. This offense makes no sense, and it's just not clicking unless I'm playing the Panthers, Jaguars, who almost beat the Eagles, so I can't figure the Jaguars out.
Yeah.
It's like, where did that go? The game plan those two, was it really just that the Panthers and Jaguars were that bad? Because the Jaguars are not as bad as the Bears made them look, and the Panthers, of course, dreadful. But they beat the Rams. I mean, what is this team right now? How did they look this bad coming out of the bye? How can you watch any of this and have any confidence, and this is the real gist of it, any confidence that this coaching staff is winning you anything of consequence?
Yeah. I
And if they're not winning you anything of consequence, then you need new ones.
yeah. And I think in regards to Caleb, here's my theory that the speed of the game and the fact that he's always under pressure is messing with his calibrating to the speed of the NFL. I think I really think that's what it is because it's consistently the deep pass, and most of the time it seems like it's DJ Moore that he's not on the same page with. But he made some really nice throws today in the second half, just not consistently enough. And when he's running for his life because they're in the backfield, pretty much right after the ball gets to him, you
To
know what I
me, it
mean?
looks like his timing in the pocket is all screwed up, and that's why
Yes,
it's so inaccurate. And it drives me
yes.
nuts that they never call anything that deliberately puts him on the move. He's still
That's
really good on the move.
that's what I don't understand at all. I mean, because Walter did some of that with Geno Smith, right, in Seattle. Got Smith on the move,
Some
reinvigorate.
I don't know what Waldron's doing. This looks to me like the classic Bears coaches stuff the QB into their. It looks like Nagy trying to play with Mitch, to be honest. Where it's like, no, we're
Oh
gonna do this.
boy.
Okay, fine, fine. I'll use the tight end for a couple weeks. Hey, look, we scored a lot. I want to go back to my stuff.
Ken, you brought up the tight end, and it was in our text thread here, I believe, during the game.
Oh, many times.
Cole Kmet spoke out against practice.
This was
Uh,
my conspiracy
and
theory.
yes, oh, that was
Me
yours. Yeah,
at
you
my
brought it up.
worst,
Well, then
folks.
you bring it up. Then you explain it to our dear
Sorry.
listeners.
I don't know. Okay, so first of all, the overwhelming likelihood is that the reason Cole Kmet didn't get any targets is because the coaching staff are morons. The second likely reason is Caleb didn't notice him a couple times that he could have, and it just kind of got to be a coincidental weird he didn't get any targets thing. The third reason is he spoke out about how bad practice was as one of the more vocal Bears about
Hmm.
the bad vibes, and they're punishing him, which is probably not the case, but couldn't help but wonder when I saw that he gets no targets when he's probably currently the second most reliable weapon on the offense. He's having a better year than DJ Moore.
He is.
Yeah, and depending on what game you're talking about, he might be their best. It's either him or Swift, depending on the week. Isn't that crazy?
Why? Yeah. Why are you targeting Mercedes Lewis on your own goal line if you have Cole Kmet? As your, and I saw Everett catch a pass, and there's still no passes
Yeah, so there's a
to
lot to
Kmet.
dislike. Honestly, guys, though, the biggest, most disarming or most alarming thing is something cousin Nate just tweeted.
Cousin.
Or a tweet he just sent, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Nate does not tweet. He just copies the tweets for me.
Yes.
The worst part, Robert Schmitz, who I love. The worst part about today's Bears game is that we're knee deep in their usual cycle. Say what you will, but Drake May and Jaden Daniels aren't missing wide open guys like Caleb is. I've still got faith in Caleb Williams, but nothing builds bad habits like bad coaching.
Mm-hmm.
This looks awful. He makes way too many positive plays for me not to point at awful O-line play, ineffective wide receiver play, and dog bleep route concepts, but I couldn't call myself much of an analyst if I pretended any of that meant Caleb was playing well. He's a rookie, one I'm excited about, but dang.
I think
Yep.
that's well said.
I mean, the
Yep.
bottom line is he's not playing good, and they're failing him in many ways, but you know, I don't think the draft pick was a mistake. I think
No.
keeping the coach was the mistake. And
Yep.
it's I think they should honestly look at it like let's just fix it ASAP and we'll try with a different play caller and promote Washington to head coach in the interim and one of the passing guys, QB coach, what somebody over there as the new play caller. Uh, they're not going to do it. It's just like at this point, Flus is what he is. He's awful in-game strategist, and Waldron has been so bad it's almost mind-boggling.
Yeah.
And if you actually care about Caleb's development, you don't know what will happen if you make a mid-season change. Probably nothing much. But I don't think you can look at this and be like, it'll be good for Caleb's development to keep doing what we're doing. That's where it's like Ryan Poles, you're dropping the ball. Bears organization, you're dropping the ball.
Yeah.
If you care about what's his growth track, you can't keep these guys around. And if you know you can't keep them around in January, you ought to move on now, just on the off chance that somebody does something that actually helps him develop, because none of this matters other than Caleb. And they're sitting there breaking him again.
Again.
And then now you get to the part that I get mad about, because you lose games. You lose games in dumb ways. That's football. Pretty hard to get over the way they lost last week. But you can't keep killing the development potentially of high picked quarterbacks because you're too stupid to figure out that they need play callers paired up with them from the start. It's crazy to me that we're here again. And it all goes back to that. None of the rest of it even matters. So yeah, I'd fire both of them, Flus and Waldron, just to see if anything else will click. Because this is so bad. It's like, how do you not see that it's terrible?
And it
I
happened
was
so
sarcastically
fast.
celebrating a 50% completion every time I was tracking the games. Like, hey, we're back to 50. Woo! Terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And watch
Yep.
Jaden Daniels, and it's like 16 to 20, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
He's
Okay.
playing Call of Duty on the bench. No, wait, that's
But what's
Kyler Murray. He,
the
but he is not breaking a sweat, and he's playing with the rib injury, sort of,
and
whatever that is.
what's the biggest difference there between how they're
Right
using
now, it's the
him?
coaching. We're supposed to have better weapons or more of them.
Mm-hmm. Yep. They're taking Jaden where he's at and working with what he's got, where he's at, what his strengths are, tailoring it to what he came out of at LSU, trying
Yep.
to make it as
I'm still
easy.
stunned. More teams, someone hasn't taken some of that away.
Mm-hmm.
because it's still kind of like
Well, and
easy to adjust in the NFL. Like if it was that easy, the college guys would all run this when they came into the
oh
pros,
yeah, 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 yeah.
and it,
I don't.
like I'm waiting for the shoe to drop there, but it's working. So I mean, how can I sit here and attack the Commanders' strategy when the Bears are doing this nonsense?
Yeah, I'm not trying to do that, and I'm not trying to take
Yeah.
anything
No,
away
I
from
know you're not
Daniels.
sorry.
Yeah, but it seems. Here's the thing. It seems to me that the command. Well, I'm going to start that thought over, and I'm going to edit that because whew, my brain is working faster than
Okay.
my mouth. But they
And
have
I'll
much.
not cut you off this time.
They have,
Go.
that's all right. They have better protection up front. I think so much of that just comes down to that simple thing. And when Caleb was
Yes.
playing better, the line
They
was
didn't.
blocking better.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing about this whole thing after the coaches is the blocking.
Yeah.
But I wonder how much of that could be helped out with better coaching.
Well, that's the thing.
You
They.
need players clearly, but you should never be this bad for
Hmm.
four of the games.
Yeah, it's you can't have
That's crazy.
the game plan of oh well we can't block we're screwed instead
Here's
of
an absolutely crazy stat to back you up
okay.
from Benjamin Solak. Our old friend who had the wonderful breakdown of Fields in college that gave us all hope, but we'll forgive him. I still don't know what happened there. At Next Gen Stats says 16 different Cardinals got a pressure against the Bears.
16.
Most individual players to get a pressure for a defense since 2018. The Cardinals walked into the game with a 26.6% pressure rate.
Oh my
They're bad. I
gosh.
told you this Friday. They're
Yes
bad
you did.
defensively.
Yeah.
And pressured Caleb on 46% of his dropbacks. Basically half the time
Hmm.
with 16 different Cardinals. Now, Chris, help me out. How many players are on a football field at one time on a defense?
I believe it's 11.
Okay, how many of them are defensive linemen typically?
3 or 4 depending on your base
Okay,
defense. Yeah.
so if the Cardinals got 16 different players to get a pressure, what were they doing a lot?
Blitzing.
Blitzing. Would you say that blitzing is a standard strategy that any team should be prepared to deal with?
I would think so, yes, especially if you've got a rookie
Hmm.
quarterback and injured O-line players. Yes.
Did you know that the Bears have never seen a blitz, even though they saw a bajillion of them week two for sure? That's what this reminded me of. It
Mm-hmm.
was the Texans game all over again. And he just had no chance to get into a rhythm.
Yep.
I think it's fair to be concerned about the accuracy. I think it'd be silly to panic.
Yeah.
I'm also a little worried that when he's inaccurate, it's like half the time it's nowhere close, and I'm like, oh, well, maybe he's throwing it away. But like, I don't know that. I would like to know like some of them are just so bad. You're like, what was he even doing there?
Or was he on the same page with the receiver
And
too?
DJ and
Yeah.
him just constantly have these
They're not clicking.
really bad communication gaps.
Nope.
But he had him with Rome earlier in the year,
Hmm.
and Rome had 100 yards. There's your silver lining.
Yeah.
And they actually hit a deep ball finally. So you can obviously point out whatever you want about what the next step is and what they'll actually do. It's clear
Hmm.
what they should do, and the problem is we got nine more of these. Like that's another thing. Like, is there any consideration for getting rid of him just for the vibes,
There
just
should be.
for the fact that the fans would be glad you did? I don't know that you should really think about it that way.
The players will be glad you did. We know that. We could see that today. That should matter, right?
They typically get pretty upset when the players do this. However, the more famous example of this from at least our generation of Bears fans, and I think probably anyone listening, was when Tressman let the back-to-back opponents drop the old 50
The
burger on
50
him,
burgers, yep.
and they still let him finish the year.
Yeah, yeah. And then they got rid of Emery and Tressman at the same time. That was the Virginia pissed off thing, right? Wasn't that when George dropped that one
Yeah.
that mom was pissed off? Come on, Virginia, get pissed off again. I like what
Here's
Dan
another
Bernstein's.
question.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I like what Dan Bernstein said about had Virginia going down there with a cricket bat and just started.
Oh, yeah, that was hilarious. Here's another question for you. for all that, I think Caleb definitely is the most important part of all this, but let's look at the rest of the team too. Is there any thought in the building tomorrow on the flight back, whoever's talking about this decision, to say we keep this guy and it keeps spiraling? All the good that we thought we had done with some of this roster and culture are going to be undone, and we ought to pull the plug just to try to stop the bleeding before we make a decision in January about who's the next full-on leader. Because if we keep getting efforts like this, does do the other young players have their careers hampered by this kind of coaching currently? Like, is there any thought to that? I don't know how
Mm.
to articulate it really.
I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
But like, does this become, does the snowball turn into an avalanche? And if you can keep that from happening by doing an interim coach, should you give it a shot? You're not saving the season. The schedule's too hard.
Hmm.
So I don't know. But this is definitely what it looks like when the player's like, sure thing,
Mm.
coach.
Yep.
That 53-yard run at the end of the first half, staggering.
I did see that. I did.
Kevin Fishbain had a tweet about it. The Bears over 30 years have given up 6 touchdowns inside of 30 seconds to go in a half or game. 6 in 30 years. 2 of them were this week. Well, the last 2 games.
Wow.
I mean,
Congratulations, Flus.
he called a blitz and they hit him with a run and just depantsed him. And then he's like, "Yep, I got to do better." Coming out of the halftime when they talked to him about that. Oh, now we're Mr. Accountable. See, now that's just going to look like you're not even being genuine.
Right. It does not. Right. 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 Right.
Right. Again, I've never seen anyone worse at speaking.
Hmm.
They asked him the question about what they could do better. He's like, "Well, we have the score and we have each other and that's what we're going to do." It's like, you're going to do each other? What? Didn't make any sense. I don't know what his initial answer was trying to be, but again, I will say I've never seen anyone worse at communicating than Matt Eberflus. We have each other. That's what we're going to do. Interesting locker room you got there. I don't. I'm not trying to be dirty. I'm just pointing out how bad. Well, I am being dirty, but how bad he is at talking. I'll never get over that part, even though I don't know exactly how much it matters. I think it has some predictive power at,
Yeah.
at saying we're not quick-witted and we don't think well on our feet in pressure situations. And I
Eh,
also saw a tweet about him, the DC, and I can't find it, but he had given up a ton of leads as a DC as well. This is
oh,
not new to
with
him,
the
the head
Colts.
coach. For all the flowers that we give him as the DC, he's
Oh.
actually been really bad at preserving leads throughout his career.
Well, and that kind of comes with a base cover two defense. I would, if you think about it, that it's designed to, okay, you can have the field, you can move down the field. We're just gonna stop you from getting in the end zone or take the ball away. It's not really a base defense for stopping you, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and so it allows that.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
allows the
that.
yardage that you need to give up the comeback, or that the other team needs to pull
Yeah.
off the comeback. Minor breaking news, so not the breaking news we all want.
No.
Caleb Williams tweaked his ankle, thinks he'll be all right. Caleb Williams asked about being in the game even though it was a blowout. Quote, "It's not my decision."
Oh. Oh, that doesn't
Here's
sound
That's not great. Should Chicago trade Keenan Allen now?
sure.
Why not? Not giving you anything. He's super disappointing.
Yeah.
And that was the other thing I thought watching that game a few times. I'm like, they don't even look like they're running the routes all that hard. Like, they're not crisp routes a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are a lot of like slowly turn into the route or out of the route, and no sharp cuts,
Yeah, that's what I mean.
no
Rounded
misdirection or
off.
anything.
And I can't help but think about the JSN comments in the summer when he was like, "Oh, we're live. Yeah, good luck with him." Like, I think receivers might really not love the scheme because they do a lot of decoy routes and like choice routes that you're not getting the ball, and they got to kind of wonder how much that's playing into it. But at the same time, it's like, do your job though.
Yeah.
But none of these receivers have diva reputations, so it's like There's a whole weird thing going on there. We all kind of try to dismiss it because DJ does a lot of that stuff in the game where he's kind of sits on his own. It's not unusual.
Yeah.
So that's not what I'm getting at. But like something is definitely so wrong with the offense that you have to wonder how irritated the players are beyond just the moment they lost. Like, what is that discussion this week? Oh, we have another leadership meeting. We have 30 in 8 games. I'm going to start tracking those and we'll see if we can get to 50% leadership meetings.
I like it.
All right, that's all I got. These freaking franchise sucks.
My
Quote
friend
that one for
Bob.
the soundboard.
Oh yeah, I'll have to cut it or grab it.
Pull it, yeah.
My friend Bob has a friend who said the Bears. It's time to put in. Time to put in the backup. Tyson Bagent, my friend. It's Bagent time.
Well,
And it's
I'll
like,
take Bajan over Caleb getting hurt if this is the O-line's quality of play.
I don't think
Going
that's what
into
he meant, but
you know what? Let's let Bajan play against the Vikings. That seems like a Bajan thing to play. He'd like to play the Vikings. Ooh, Vikings, man, like, dad, arm wrestler.
you can arm wrestle. Yeah, exactly.
Brian Flores is going to go ballistic on this offensive line.
The Cardinals did just what just what the Commanders did last week. Showed them
And the
what to do.
Texans
Gave them the
blitzed their
blueprint.
tails
Yep.
off. Everybody's using that blueprint because we can't pick up a blitz.
Nope.
I lied. I had one more thing now that I'm scrolling Twitter, waiting for you to do the bye-bye.
Okay.
Or as my kids say, the gone gone.
The gone.
Olin
Okay.
Kreutz on the score.
Ooh.
When they were talking last week, I kept thinking to myself, let me do my Kreutz impersonation.
Okay.
This is what losers do. This is what losing team does. They came out today, and I've been a part of games like that where it looks like you lost the team. That's how he talks.
That's pretty good. Wow.
Patrick
I'm
Manley's
impressed.
response, it definitely did.
Yeah, it sure did. What I saw
Hey,
sure did.
these guys love the Bears, man. They got an investment in the Bears way beyond you and I, and they're saying it. So don't
Yep.
take my word for it. Listen to the players last week, listen to former players today, and ooh, I wonder what's going to happen Monday and Wednesday, and this isn't over.
DJ Moore is going to be must listen to tomorrow on the
And
morning show
Jalen?
on the Score. Jalen Tuesday. Ooh.
Oh, isn't he Monday at 5? He's Monday at 5.
Oh, he's Mondays. Excuse me. Yes, you're right.
They're
Yeah.
both tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Komet does his pod Tuesday.
Yep. I wonder how much of the keep it in house is gonna stay in house. Yeah.
It's just top shelf. Keep it in house. Yeah, he told us to keep it in house.
Boy, I keep thinking what you're saying.
Good job, everyone.
What you said about Caleb saying it's not my decision. That's huge. That's
Yeah, what are we doing here is what he's saying.
Caleb is almost done. Well, he looked done in in Hard Knocks with Eberflus. Looking at him like, why am I listening to this
If
guy?
Caleb's
Who the
as
heck
smart
is
a
this
football
guy?
mind as we think, even at the
Uh-huh.
tender age of 22, let's all remember he's 22 while we're at
Yeah.
it. He knew right away Flus was an idiot.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's what it looked like.
There's
on
no
Hard
way
Knocks.
Flus gave him a quarterback talking point that Caleb was like, wow, never thought of that one. Like he doesn't know how to coach him.
Caleb was giving Flus defensive points at the end of the game last week.
He was trying.
Caleb is much smarter than Flus. I have no doubt about that. One last thing I want to say about not to underestimate the effect of the pressure on Caleb and his accuracy. It's a real thing. I mean, we all know that happens to every
Anybody.
quarterback. They can
Yeah.
get rattled. And look last week at C.J. Stroud. He
Thursday,
got
just
pressure.
Thursday.
Oh, Thursday. Excuse me. Yeah, Thursday. He was very inaccurate, and he was under pressure the whole game. And he's kind of returned to earth, I think, from his unreal rookie season.
It's
last
all the
year.
stuff everyone says, right? Like it's the get him some easy completions, get him in a rhythm, get your
Yep.
young QB off
Yep.
to a quick start, which they actually did today. He was 5 of 6 on the first drive, and then they derailed it like they always do. Whenever they're off to a decent drive at the beginning of a game. But yeah, they don't let him get started. He's not good enough right now, whatever the calibration is, to elevate the crap around him, especially when the O-line's this bad, and almost no one is. So yeah.
And a couple other I guess positives. He threw for over 200 yards in a bad game, and we were fighting for reasons to have hope in Mitch and Justin when they couldn't get to 200.
They would have had
you know what I
3
mean?
turnovers and 80
Exactly.
yards today.
He still has no turnovers. He's not throwing interceptions. He's much better at taking care of the ball. His only fumble the last 2 weeks was that one on that stupid handoff to the mini fridge.
Which shouldn't be his.
Which shouldn't be his. In fact, when they gave Kyler Murray the fumble today, when they announced it, I was like, yeah, that's right. You better give Murray the fumble on that if you're going to give it to Caleb last week. So, anyway, it's just a little side note. Pressure does matter. It affects every NFL quarterback. So if you can get Caleb more time, I think the accuracy downfield will get better and more consistently good. I do believe that.
Just, you did the thing again. You wasted the rookie year, and now you're hoping that it's not too late to salvage it. Congratulations, everyone. You're still the Chicago Bears. That's what this day is. Ultimately, that's the problem here.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
No, this is the day that tells you why that January was so bad.
You're right. 3 years ago, you were afraid of this very moment. Not necessarily with Caleb, but with whoever might be a rookie QB after Fields, because they screwed up that alignment too.
Yeah, and he maybe would never have done the NFL pocket stuff good enough to matter, but they still didn't give it. He never had a chance hardly either. Yeah. And look, then you give him the terrible roster year 2, and all of a sudden he's not a Bear anymore. Like, I don't want this. They got to quit doing this. So the sooner you pull the plug, the better in my mind, even if you're obviously going to have an interim only.
Help us, Ben Johnson. You're our only hope. Win yourself a Super Bowl with the Detroit Lions this year.
Yeah, for real.
And then, come to Chicago, my friend. All right, I'll wrap it up. Thanks for listening, everybody. Mark, thanks for doing a post game. I think it's fun, even when they lose. Might even be more fun when they lose. I don't know. Grumble. We'll talk to you later this week to preview the what may not be an easy win next week against the Patriots. They just showed a highlight on Sunday Night Football here of Drake May falling backwards and just doing a Jordan Love. Yeah, he Jordan Loved it and he got a touchdown. Like, wow, that's great. That's fantastic. By the way, Jordan Love returning to mid-level QB2. Love to see it. All right, we'll talk to you later. Bear down or something. Okay, thanks for listening. Bye.
You got to do a good job of executing that plan, not only during the week, but also, tactically during the game. That's an important part of having tactics.
What sort of meaningless double talk is this?
That does not satisfy my logic circuits.
I love the Bears.